For the second time on Mirror Talk, I am delighted to be speaking with this guest. He's a research scientist, an optimist, a career coach. He's a mentor who holds a double PhD degree in organic and polymer chemistry. He's also the author of a masterpiece entitled Till We Win. Welcome to the show, Casey. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, Toby. It's nice, like you said, to be on the podcast for the second time. It's been a while, though.
Yeah, a long while, a long, long while. I remember the first time you came on the show, and we were still very, very new back
Uh-huh.
then. And I was so, so happy and honored and delighted that you came on the show and you helped us to even pave more ways to meeting more people and gave me the courage personally to even want to have more guests on the show basically. So I really, really thank you for that opportunity that you gave me the first time you came on the show. Thank
The
you so
pleasure is
much.
mine.
Yes. And now you are on the show for the second time because I would love to really talk about your amazing book, Till We Win. Always been your motto from the beginning, right? Till we win, till we win. Even on your LinkedIn, it's always till we win. And we are all a work in progress. Even when you came the first time, we talked about it before the book came into
Okay.
fruition. So I would just love you to tell us what inspired this masterpiece. Why did you decide to bless the world with this book called Till We Win?
So when I think about the reason, I would say it's about hope. Um, if I imagine, and I did take some time to think about what could be the biggest gift that you could give anyone, more so people that are struggling to find meaning as they go through life. And I came to the realization that that would be hope. So hope is what keeps us going. Hope is the kind of feeling or the consciousness that there is a better tomorrow. That it doesn't matter what we go
Mm,
through today, there is a better tomorrow. There's something we can look forward to. And this
mm,
was what inspired me to write the book, and also what inspired me to share a lot about my story, and even to create this philosophy, I would call it an ideology, about the till we all win concept, or the till we all win mindset, right? Which
yeah.
allows other people, or allow people to recognize that they can, even by winning, not make others lose. That you don't
Mm,
only win because somebody else lost, or somebody needs to lose before you can win. And so
mm,
sharing this book, or coming up with this book and still keeping that same title, was one way to make sure that I can use my own personal story to show how I came into this mindset, right? It wasn't something that I would say I was born with, but it's something that by my experiences and the way I've interacted and dealt with things that have happened to me, this mindset has evolved. And yes, so this was why I wanted to share this, and I'm happy now it's in print, and it's nice to see the kind of feedbacks it's been getting. Like you've just read it, right?
yeah.
So
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing book. Like you said rightfully, like you shared your story, and not just sharing your story for sharing sake, like to show how intelligent or smart that you are. But you really took us down to, showing us the challenges that you face, the difficulties that you came across, the kind of decisions that you have to make, and how you made those decisions basically. And that really, it opened to me when reading the book. It just placed me in maybe close to you basically, and watching you, standing and doing a presentation, for example. I don't want to spoil the book for those who have not read it yet, but like, or writing email, for example, to people that wanted to give you a scholarship after your master thesis, and then without even getting the confirmation from the other people already yet, that okay, I'm sorry, I won't take this scholarship. That's step of faith basically, and just sitting on your bed and waiting for a reply. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, all of that, like you said, also, hope basically is something that one gets from the book. Like, do your parts and be hardworking, do your best and strive to be the best that you can ever be. And also have hope in God, have hope and believe in yourself also that you can do it. And you are a work in progress, like you say, and you just keep on pushing forward till you
Mhm.
win. So we keep on pushing forward till we win. And you also carry this philosophy throughout your LinkedIn and your mentorship program, your school, coaching program, too, that you help people with, and you help them also to get, scholarships also. So I mean, that's why I was so motivated to read this. And we'll still talk about your mentoring and
Hmm.
coaching services later.
Okay.
But I love us to dive into your book
Okay.
already. In your book, you took us through, or you take us through 12 themes, starting from the
Hmm.
charge, where you reveal what it means to grow up in Cameroon as a Nigerian, what it meant like for you to start school. I can remember that part of the story where you talking about your neighbor. Your neighbor was going to school. And you're like, why am I not going to school? Why is he going to school? Something like
Yeah.
that. And I won't say forcing your mommy, but motivating your mommy to take you to school and all of that. And I mean, it was so funny. And then trying to attain the first position in school, even when you change school and you go to a different level where everyone is super smart and you still thrive to want to do better and good, making the impossible possible for yourself. So I know I've already out of excitement, I've shared everything, but I want you to share the story with us. Take us through this journey, please.
I think you've really put it very well. So when I talk about this book, I always want to really start from the beginning, right? When you look at even before touching the main chapters, right? I had a
Mm,
big question that I wanted to answer, and also how to drive this philosophy, right? So I started really from
mm,
the
mm,
preface, and I talked about till we all win. We are all a work in progress. And I would just
yeah.
read like the first two paragraphs, then that could help to drive the next conversation. And in that preface,
Mm,
I said the idea of considering success beyond self actualization cropped up in my early childhood. I was steady passionate about sharing my knowledge with others. More so, it was a win win situation for me since I learned more by doing so. Oftentimes, I wondered if the same ideology applied to everyone and what the world would look like if it did. So, in my quest to unravel convincing answers to this sort of puzzling questions in my head, I bet newer questions instead. Hence, can we all win? How practical or feasible is a collective win, especially one achieved through assisting other people learn or improve in knowledge and skills? How realistic is an all win situation? Or is it more of a folktale? Right. So it's important because when you tell somebody, yeah, till we all win, yes, fine, but can we all win? I think that's even the first question. And so I
mm,
wanted to really first start to create the picture of what winning I understand as winning, and help to drive that first for us to accept that winning can be collective, right? And that winning itself doesn't mean that you don't lose or you don't face through challenging times, but what do you do with it, right? And what you do with it becomes the lesson, becomes the experience that helps you to prepare for the next phase. So, and when I was looking at how to construct the whole book, the first challenge I had was the sequence, right? How do I sequence my experience? Now, I know a lot of people had reached out to me. They wanted me to share my experience. How do you come up with this kind of ideology? What led to it? How can we walk in your shoes to get a feeling of what is driving you to do what you do? And so
mm,
it was challenging. I said, okay, should I just tell my story from childhood all the way to where I am today? I did start like that. I started writing the book from that framework, but then there was a big challenge. And the challenge was I realized that a lot of the experience I had gone through as a kid were similar to things that I had gone through at different phases of my life. This is what prompted me to restructure the book into themes. Now, when you talk of the teams, each teams identify a given kind of mindset or experience that drove a kind of attitude in me in terms of how I react or how I manage certain things. And so you see now the teams coming together. And obviously, when I think of the biggest motivation, we might call it, that I had to deal with, it's how people tell me I cannot. Right. So that's why I called it the charge. Right. So
mm,
the charge to be doing something, like it's just like I imagine battery. You have or your phone, even our phones today. If you don't charge your phone, it's just going to be a matter of time, and then you have no battery, you have no power. Now, You doesn't matter how much you want to do, if you are not able to charge, the phone cannot do it for you. So you need to be able to charge the phone. And guess what? The phone is not charged by itself, it's charged externally, right? And so I realized that all those times that I've had to deal with you cannot situation, it was a charge. It was like an external influence motivating me to act, to take action, to be charged to act. And so now when I look at the charge, because I said I wanted to write the story from childhood all the way up, and I realized, oh, it wasn't only when I was younger that I was challenged and told I could not do something, even when I got up to the university. And now when you look at the charge, you see that the ways that the stories have developed, I really tried then to put them in context on when it happened, right? But then the same team. So, like you mentioned, for example, my very first charge, my cousin tells me, "Oh, I think you will not be able to make a first position because she had a good reason. You have gone through the most easiest classes. You did not take first. What is the odd, or what are the odds that you are going to do this when you get to the more difficult classes?" And she was right. The next step, I got even the worst grade. The worst grade I ever had was 8 out of whatever class, 8 out of the total number in class. But that was the worst result I never had more than 8. But so it also that I am being challenged, but then there is an evidence, right? And this is what happens to us. Somebody tells you you cannot do something, and the next time you see that you are not doing it, I mean, the person is right. But then I realized that, well, this is not who I am. This is not what I want to be. I want to be able to prove that I can do this. And that was my thinking at that point, that I need to prove to her that she's wrong. Eventually, when I did get the first, I did write her that I have done it, you know. But then it did stop there. As I moved into my secondary school, it was still another situation. Oh, you have come to a more difficult school, you will be lost in class. And it was true. When I started the school in my high school, I was lost in class. I was lost. Like there were situations when I'm having a test, a 27. I think that was like the first test I had, a 27 over 50. And there's somebody that has a 50, 51 over 50. They even got all plus the extra marks. So it's one thing that somebody tell you cannot do something, but you see the next time that is true because you are not doing it. And again, what that helped me at that point in my life was that it forced me to stop being in a position to compete, right? I realized that yes, I'm charged to do something, but I'm going to do it for myself, right? And by focusing that I'm doing this for myself, I become a better version of myself. And as the situation might have it, I was then the best in school. But I never wanted to be the best. I didn't go to the school to say I want to be the best in this school. No, because I didn't see the chance. I mean, I was lost in the class. So what is the mind that you need to tell you have not been the best in any of the term? What makes you think you'll be the best at the final exams? But it's by focusing on, which is what I think I want the readers to get out of it, that people will charge you, right, to take an action, but you need to also remind yourself that you are doing it for yourself, right? Those actions you are taking to be a better version of yourself might end up being the best of everybody, but it starts from you, and the motivation to be that best should come from you, right? So that's the charge, and you see the charge then leads into the different teams, right? Because I imagine, okay, once you are charged, you act, right? And then
Yes.
somebody might say, okay, well, if you are charged, what does that mean? Maybe if you are charged, whatever you think, whatever you thought would work, but that's not true, right? So I'm charged, but then the next thing I have to deal with is how do people now address or put me in a box based on how I look, right? So that's why I moved straight to beyond physical appearance, right? So it's one thing to be charged, you know you are doing your part, but then there is the aspect on how people will deal with you. And that aspect most times come from just by looking at you, oh, it's Toby. What good can come out from Toby, you know? Um, and so I wanted the way that I wanted the book to evolve is by especially was making sure that this is relatable, right? Like you said, you read the book, you felt like you are standing right to me, and I think when you also look at your life, you could see experiences that are very more or less the same what I had to go through because we share similar kind of background, right? But what I wanted to
Yes.
pass there is that yes, beyond physical appearance, which is a lot about also what I had to go through in Cameroon, and how my mother's, kind of love and care, and the way that she looks at challenging times, and the way that she kind of helped us to grow, gave me a feeling of how I could manage being in such an environment, or growing up in such an environment. But then it's one thing to be charged, it's one thing to act, but remember that there are people that would still place you in a bucket, in a box. How do you deal with it?
Yeah.
And how do you make
Mm.
sure that you are not just reacting to, because somebody said something, you are directly reacting? So how do you make sure that you have taken enough time to like conceptualize, integrate, or internalize whatever you are getting, and bring out
Yeah.
what matters, right? So that's why I said at the end, kindness is colorful, right? So it's
Mm.
not how people
Yes.
treat you that you treat them, it's how you want to be treated. So it doesn't matter how they treat you, but if you know you want to be treated with love, then you treat people with love, because that is how you want to be treated. Um, and you also need to understand that people also want to be treated in a particular way. So you need to also learn, how does this person want me to deal with them? Right? Because at the end of the day, it's what they get from you that is going to matter, not what you think you are giving to them. But that's just putting, like, walking in somebody's shoe, right? Which is a way to like manage, especially growing up or studying now in Germany, or working in Germany and then studying in many countries, having to deal with these cultural differences, and how we perceive it, and how we think we are being treated, or how we are even treated at times. But then what do you make out of it? And how do you want that to reflect on the other person? So I think I just talked about the
Yeah.
first two things, but I give you time to
Yeah.
react.
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for explaining that. When you were talking about, kindness is colorful, and also talking about people not placing you in a bucket, for example, I remember your experience in the bus. You saw the black bus
Mhm.
driver, or the African bus driver, and you went out and he said, your fakate, and you are like, why did he call you back for your
Uh-huh.
fakate? That experience must have been very moving for you in some ways, right? I mean, how was that for
Yeah,
you?
I think that was for me one of the, as long as I can remember, and I have been here now for almost 8 years. I don't think
Mm,
I've ever felt outrightly discriminated against. And what made it
mm,
really, I felt really bad about it, was that it was done by someone like me, right?
mm.
And
Yes.
just obviously in my face, every other person passing in and sitting down, why did you have to call me back? And
Mm,
I just felt like, okay, this doesn't add up, right?
yeah.
And I wish I could have talked to him. I went home that day really thinking I should have talked to this guy, really understand. But then I also realized that, I mean, personally, I feel that any form of racism, it's a form of sickness in the mind, right? And
Mm,
so two of us cannot be sick at the same time. I mean, somebody needs to be treated. And how we
mm,
react to certain things that happen to us could be that treatment that this person is looking for, right? So I think
yeah.
the confrontation doesn't make it better, but then really understanding what in the mind of this person, because something in the mind is playing that part in projecting how this person perceives you, and how this person
Mm,
wants to deal with you based on how you look or how you talk, or something with the person. But then how do we make sure that we bring this person on, that it doesn't continue? I think the engagement or outright interaction or confrontation doesn't help. So
yeah.
what I when I went through this experience, I think what I kind of also reminded myself is that we can choose how we react. It's in our power, right? We cannot choose how people will treat us, unfortunately. We cannot choose what they will tell us, but we can choose how we react. And when this
Mm,
reaction is coming from a place of love, then it's different. It doesn't come with pain. Because if you are in pain because somebody treated you bad, the person might just go on with their life, and you are the one that is trapped in that pain.
mm,
But when you
mm,
know that, okay, it's just like you realize, oh, this person is not okay to treat me like this. this person is not okay. I can't treat this person the same way because I'm okay. And I need to think like, how can this person be made better? How can my expression help this person to move through life differently? So it's always a question about how we interact. But it doesn't mean it was easy. It doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it gets any better. It would get, but really, how do we manage our reaction when we are treated
Yeah.
badly? I think that's what we count. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, of course, it could be very challenging, like, for someone to, talk to you anyway, and you have that mindset to intentionally react with kindness, react back with love, or not reacting, but
Responding.
responding back with love and kindness. Yeah. And, when I read that part of the story, and I was also moved, I was like shocked a little bit, but I learned that, for example, yeah, it could be, it's not easy. It's very easy to say, yeah, when someone slaps me, I'll just give the person the other cheek and let the person slap me. But, I'm having that growth mindset and that mindset of till we win, till we all win, sorry, till we all win. That is, I am going to be an embodiment of kindness, an embodiment of love, and I will try my best as much as possible to also ensure that other people do the same thing.
Mhm,
Even if they do anything to attack me or whatever, I'm going to respond out of love and kindness,
mhm,
with the hope that they also change, with the hope that they also see what they've done wrongly and turn their ways around, and also they themselves become that embodiment of love and kindness, and they spread it about, and by the time they spread it all around the world, then we will all win. We will all win at the end
exactly.
of the day.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
the what you might call ingoing leap of faith, right? So you
Mm,
do it with the hope, like you said, that this translates, right?
mm,
And that's why when I think about this philosophy, this till we all win mindset, it's really a call to action, right? It's like a cry for people to join a movement that considers others, right? Intentionally consider others. And winning could be in so many aspects of life, but then whatever
yeah.
you're doing, you consider others. You are aware. You have that consciousness that there is somebody else. I'm not alone. This is not about me, right? There are other
Mm,
people that
mm,
my actions would influence, impact, create challenges for. So how do I bring them into my thinking when I make a
mm,
decision, or when I take an action, right? Or when I
yeah.
respond. So and when you do this and people come into, like, you buy people into this philosophy or into this mindset, then you
Mm,
are creating a collective, a community of people that believe in having others succeed with them, right? Or people that believe
yes.
it's not just about the winning. I said, till we all win, we are all a work in progress. So it's not about us winning, it's about us continuously recognizing that we have not arrived, right? That we have work to do until
Mm,
there is somebody else still struggling to get where they need to be. They don't, it's not where you want them to be, it's where they want to be, where what stage they want to get in life, how far they want to go in life. Till they have gotten to that point, you it's not enough to say we have achieved anything. We recognize and appreciate and celebrate every step we take along this path, but we recognize also that it's not over, right? And
mm,
this keeps us on our toes. So that's why if you move to the next team, I start talking about till we all win, right? Now,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's important to, you are charged, you have dealt with
Mm,
external influences, you have managed the ones you have been told, but now you are
mm,
charged and you are doing great, but then you have to deal with people now really treating you outside of what you would expect, right? And how do you manage
mm,
that? So you are now dealing with, beyond your physical appearance, and also how do you make sure not just what people are doing to you, but also how do you treat others, right? Because we also have our
mm,
biases, and we also need to keep in mind that we don't just see
yeah.
somebody and also, fully judge them and, find a
Mm,
place where we can place them. But then you need to move
yeah.
forward, and that's why I directly went to team three, which is work in progress, right?
Mm,
What does it mean to be work in progress? What does it mean
mm,
to keep that in mind? Somebody once asked me, does it mean we would always work, like there would never be rest? I said, work doesn't mean you are not resting, right? Work
mhm,
simply means
yeah.
that you are conscious of what you can do.
Mm,
You are conscious of
mm, mm,
what influence you can create. You are conscious of what
mm,
impact you can make just by opening up to someone, just by lending your hand to someone, right? You are not just, closed up, where I'm in my castle, all surrounded, I'm secured. I don't need to deal with any form of external influence. I am okay, right? So
mm,
doesn't mean you will
mm.
not be working at that point, but till we all win, being a work in progress means recognizing that there is always something more, right?
Yes. No one's head is touching the
No
ceiling.
one's head
Yeah.
is
No one has
touching the
gotten there yet.
ceiling. Yes. No one's head is
Yeah.
touching the
Yeah.
ceiling, and that's the learner's mindset. And that's a growth
Mm,
mindset. You recognize that we can do more, right? We can be
mm,
more. We can
mm.
be more. We can keep doing. Not. It's not about competition. It's about being better, the better version of yourself, and
Yeah.
recognizing that this is not going to be all rosy. The road travel talked about how
Mm,
we can just look into people's online profile and directly feel, oh, they have a beautiful life. Funny enough, I was on
yeah.
a radio interview a few months ago, and
Mm,
when they just read my profile, anchors, they said something like, oh, this guy's life has been, he has been living a dream. He's
yeah.
almost in what did they use? Is it even a fairy tale, right?
Mm,
I mean, go into the details, right? Go into the details
mm,
and recognize how this came about, and also
yeah.
recognizing that it's not. I mean, sorry, where do I want to end up? I don't know. I want to end up where I keep driving the message of collective win. I keep recruiting people
Yes.
into this mindset. I keep, having a world where people would not question where you're from before asking you how they can help you. And that's for me, it's
Yes.
a continuous journey. And it's not a journey that
Mm.
would stop at any point. It's really a continuous journey.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah. I mean, you just keep on moving on that road and ensuring that everybody is winning. Everyone that you can find around your side or around your environment is with the same mindset of growing, of improving, of getting better. And you never know, you can never, you will always surprise yourself with how much people can do, how much they can achieve, and how much we as a community or collectively as a body can also achieve in life. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's
Yes.
that's so
Yeah.
it's so relevant. And that the consciousness that sometimes we miss, right? That consciousness of how much is enough. Someone once asked me, how much do you think is enough? Like, is there a number you want to reach for you to feel like you have done enough? I said it's not about how many, it's just one at a time. Is one by
Mm,
one, because
mm,
some people have come to me and they want to get into coaching, into mentorship, but they feel that they need a certain number for it to be impactful. I said, no, start with one. Be truthful and
yeah.
open to the one. That is enough.
Mm,
It doesn't,
yes.
this is not about how many. It's not a number, it's not a countdown, or how do you call it? A target. You are not meeting a target. You are
Mm,
conscious as you deal with people that come into your life, right? You are conscious, and
yeah.
that's it. So it's not how many of them, but for each person that you've taken intentionally to positively impact their life, you've made an tremendous impact for life. It's not how many there are. It's not
Mm,
about how many of them. It's just that consciousness within you that you want to make a difference in the life of one person. And with this
one person.
consciousness, you
Mm,
don't wait. You don't wait until some people say, oh, I need to get this. And I said, no, start with what you are, where you are, what you can give. At
mm,
this same moment, there is somebody that need what you are able to offer. You
that's
don't
true.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm, mm. One thing that I really like about this conversation so far is that we are taking everything away from ourselves, basically, or it's not self-centered. Just to reformulate that, we're not saying how can I become a better person, how can I win, but how can we win? How can I impact someone else's life to become better, to improve? Because if you win, Casey, that means I win also. If I win, that means you win also. And if every listener that is on this, that is listening to this right now, if they take one or two things away from this and they're able to use it and become better in their life, we all win also, basically. And that's one thing I really appreciate from your book also. Like, you're not telling us that I did this to do this and I'm achieving this, but you are trying to help people to look into their lives and to find what they can do in order to get better. You like this podcast is called Mirror Talk. You are giving them like a kind of mirror basically
Mhm.
and telling them, look, this is how my life is. Can you place it? Can you stand in front of it and see your reflection and see what you can do to improve or learn from my mistakes and take those life experiences basically
Mhm.
and use them to move forward. And that leads me to the next
Mhm.
theme where you talked about experiences and doing what you do with them that counts basically with those experiences in life. And I believe that's what helps us to grow, helps us to improve because we experience a lot of things in life. We all go through different challenges in life, but if we don't learn from those experiences, if we don't make use of those experiences, then they are just experiences basically.
Mhm.
So can you tell us about this next theme and what are the experiences that really changed your life, that made you give that winning mindset and made you who you are today, Casey?
I think Team 4 is so, that's my biggest challenge is always choosing like what is my best team. Because each of them just come with so much information and so much experience that humbles me, right? And Team 4 is one of those because in Team 4 we talk about life experiences versus reality, and that is what is life. If we read more about the preface, and I'm going to go back to the preface and come back to Team 4 because it helps to connect that. We couldn't read the entire team, preface, but let me read the last two paragraphs of the preface, and this would help to position. So, okay, so I am going to read the last two paragraphs of. Okay, so that's towards the last more or less three paragraph, but it will be quick on the preface. Okay, then maybe as we move forward, we will touch a bit about the introduction, which answers some of those
Yeah.
questions. He said, "I'm pretty positive that our perspective of life would take a better turn if we realize that one's win does not stop another. With this mindset, a piece of information that would most likely help the stranger right beside us is not hoarded or withheld because it doesn't benefit us. Unlike the quest to be the only one eyed man in the kingdom of the blind, just to be the crowned king, the importance of an all win community is acknowledged and the stress of being the only one is lifted. Therefore, a definite yes answer to the question, can we all win, is only possible with us all embracing an unbiased supportive role to one another with the understanding that no one wholly wins without another, which is the reason why we remain a work in progress after all. Taking a few steps backward, I'd like to ask a pertinent question. Does buying into the ideology of till we all win, we are all a work in progress, guarantee us a life of promise? Right. So, does buying into this ideology guarantee us a life of promise? And so, when I go to the introduction, I started with this is life, nothing is promised. Right. And I said, nothing
Yes.
in life is promised. This response is my candid answer to the earlier question, does buying into the ideology of till we all win, we are all a work in progress, guarantee us a life of promise? And I would explain why. So that's the introduction. I will not read the full of the introduction. But coming now to Team 4, life, reality versus expectation. And the very first one is you already started talking about this story, which is when my very good friend started schooling. I know him. I think we are both the same age, but I was like, why is this guy going to school and I'm not? And I took it up, and it turned out that he was not actually in the school. He was in nursery. But none of us in my family went to nursery. We waited until we are old enough to go to primary. But you see, just looking at him and knowing that we are the same age, I obviously made an assumption that I should be in school because he is. When I went to school, I could not attend because I was just too small, right, to attend a primary school. But that's the reality that came to the forefront simply because I acted on what I assumed to be the reality, the expectation on how the world acts or how the world would be. But this is what the life. This we have nothing that is promised here on this earth, right? And I also talked there about not all figured out, which is important to Recognize that even today, there are many things that I've not figured out. I don't think there will be a time that I would have figured out everything. I don't even want to imagine such a time. I don't even know why I should want to figure everything out. Why should that be? But that consciousness is important when somebody looks at me and feel like, oh, he has everything going for him. I want to be like him. No, but when you recognize the limitations we have as humans, we are not God, that
No.
we have a limitation, but that is okay. It's not a problem, right? We recognize this, and for those that are relevant to our next step, we call them the gap. We do a gap analysis, and we want to improve on it. We know I need to do
Yeah.
this to be able to move them. Then I take care of it. But it doesn't mean that I am worried that I do not have everything all figured out, or I want to have everything all figured out. And that's the also touching well, life's imagination versus reality. And now talking also about experiences, like you said earlier, what counts is what we do with them, right? Because we are going to have things we do not expect, obviously. But what did you do with it? Right? That's what will make the difference. That's what will make or mar anyone, right? What did you do with the experience? And why I said Team 4 is really very emotional for me is the chapter 17, that delay can be a redirection, which is a time when it felt like I had everything all figured out. I really, in my mind, I knew that, and everything was set. I just knew the next steps to take, and but then it it became a complete nightmare. I was
Yeah.
basically how do you call it, stuck in Germany, and obviously even became homeless because I'd given out my apartment with the confidence that I have a job, a postdoc. I knew where I'm going,
Yeah.
but then everything just came crashing in almost an instant, and the whole world turned around in twinkle of an eye. I went from I know everything that I'm to do next to I have no clue about what I'm going to do, and that's what life is, right? But
Yes.
it's these
Yes.
uncertainties that make life interesting. This is the thrill of life, that you don't know what would happen next. But when you have developed a mindset that sees beyond challenges, beyond limitations, into that hope. We talked about hope. When you have developed a mindset that says, whatever is happening, there is a tomorrow. As a believer, the Bible says that the steadfastness of the Lord never what? Never ceases. His mercies never come
Failures.
to an end. His blessings never come to an end. They are new every morning. So looking beyond, and I also captured it that in this life of uncertainty, I anchor my hope on the one that knows that tomorrow. With the consciousness that he allows me to go through them, right? And not to go through them to destroy me, but to go through them to get better. So
Yes.
and this
Yes.
changes completely how I deal with challenges, how I deal with uncertainties. Because I know there's someone I believe in 100% that knows my tomorrow. If I'm going through this, the uncertainty, I have hope. I can see through these uncertainties to that hope. And that's exactly how this added up. But it wasn't easy. It was a complete nightmare for days, just not being sure of what I may have done wrong.
Hi, friend. Are you enjoying this episode? We would love to hear from you. Kindly send us a feedback. Are you following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, maybe on YouTube and other podcast platforms? Are you following us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook? We would love to connect with you on all platforms. Links and further details are available in the show notes of this episode. Thank you. This also already brings me to the next theme already, like that we have, like you talked about being persistent and resilient, and when you talked about now, having Christ in your life, holding firmly to Him, basically, that helps us to stay persistent. That even when we have these delays, when we have these difficulties in life, when delay, for example, that caused redirection for you in your story, you still held on to God and you are still persistent and resilient. That yes, it's going to work out for you. Everything's going to work out for your own good and not against you. And yeah, it give you that ability not to give up. And you told yourself it's not over until
What is
until it's really, really over.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But for someone out there who is asking, okay, yeah, how can I then deal with delays? How can I stay persistent and stay resilient even when I'm faced with failure or delays or difficulties or uncertainties in life?
I would say that it's really always recognizing where you are, right?
Mm,
I've always said to my mentees when they tell me they have certain challenges that, okay, where are you today? Tell me, define your position now. Oh, I am
mm,
at this place. Okay, where were you last year? At what stage were you last year? Oh, last year I was still trying to understand how to make this kind of applications. Okay, and 1 year after, you know how to make the applications. You know you have made some applications. You didn't get it, but you have made the progress. Recognize that. Recognize where you are today versus yesterday. Right? It's
mm,
important to help recognize that you are making progress. Now, when we talk about delay, there are two things. Like I said, delay could be a redirection. It could be an opportunity for you to take a step back and reassess. And what sometimes we do is when we are facing delays is that we are not reassessing. We are just keep head going as if we want to like break through. That's not persistence, right? It's like you say you don't if you want to solve a problem, right? You will not solve it with the same way that you created the problem. You have to do it differently. You can't expect a different solution when you have a different outcome when you are putting in the same input, like you put the 10 times again and got the same output. Also, you need to think like, what is this delay? What does it mean? Right? And that process, when you have in your mind that this process of asking these questions on where I am, what is this delay I'm facing? What does it mean? What can I be doing between this time to either get ready when that thing happens? Because for some people, they are facing delays, they completely get uninterested, and then it happens, but then they are no longer ready, right? So that period of waiting for an expectation is so important to fill it up with life, fill it up with actions, fill it up with things that will drive you to that will even help you to recognize if should I even pursue this? You know, that might even be the
mm,
answer. That can even be the success. Your success could be that I should not go through this. That is success. So we need to recognize what it means to succeed versus what we have defined, and also what failure really means. What does failure mean? Oh, I did not get what I applied to. Okay, is that failure? What about the fact that because you had to make this application, you now know how to write a good CV? Because you know how
yeah,
to write a good
yeah,
CV, you can now make other job applications. And you get the job not because you were looking at the job, but because you were applying for something that you didn't get, but you did not just
mm,
lose your sight on it. You use that knowledge. And that's the point when you talk about delay or failure, what have you learned? What did it teach you? Then what are you doing with that lesson? Right. So, and
yeah,
this is the way that you completely change how you are approaching things that you can't control, right? By bringing it under your own control and taking the actions to help you leverage on that experience for a different outcome.
yeah. Yes, I really love that. It really puts a lot of things together. Like when we came from experiences and what we do with our experiences, and now you defining what failure means to us. Sometimes when we come across delays or failures in life, then we believe, oh, we've lost the war or we've lost the battle or something like that. Then we maybe probably give up. But what I just learned from what you said right now is that we have to you know look at what we are learning from that particular experience at that moment and
Absolutely.
then see, okay, I didn't get that job, but I've learned how to write a CV. And then, okay, I might have lost that battle, but I'm not losing the war of becoming a better person or of applying to a better job that will give me a better pay or a scholarship that will make me, get my PhD or whatever that I want to do as the next level. So, um, what I learned from that is basically, define what failure means to you and take that lesson that you get from failure and have that focus on the war that you're fighting and not
Yes.
the battle that you just lost or something like
Yes,
that. Yeah,
you
that's
can
really
lose the
deep.
battle and win the war, and the war is what is important. And how
Yeah.
you are advancing your cause with your experience. I
Mm,
always tell my mentees that their POD, their point of differentiation, or their point of difference is their experience. And what is experience? Experience is not necessarily what happened to us. Experience is what we did with what happened to us, right?
mm.
So two people could go through the
Yes.
same thing, but they have different experiences. two people could go through the same thing that somebody outside might say, oh, they both, they both crawled through this water, but they did not go through with the same experience. At the end, if you ask two of them, you might be surprised that they got a complete different thing out of what they have gone through. And that is what is important, because it is that what you have taken and you are acting on it that would either consolidate and make that experience worthwhile or not. So when people talk about failure, what do you do with failure? There's the famous talk from I think it's from Thomas Edison, right? That I've now learned the 9,900 ways that the bulb would not light, versus I have failed 9,000 times. And that's important for the brain. That is important because the way you structure your experience and the way you communicate that is important for your brain, because your brain can use that information on how it deals with things else, in such things in the future. In the future, if you have said, oh, I failed 9,000 times, your brain can just completely shut down. I don't want to do another one.
Yeah.
But you say, oh, now I know that I have 9,000 ways that this will not work. The brain, oh, great, let's do it again. So it's so important when people talk on failure. I always say, what did you learn? They might tell me what they learned. I say, what have you done with the learning? Right. And that's now where you take it forward. Right. And taking it forward will be, oh, now I know that this is not working. Yes, but what did you do with it? Now I have been able to position this and this and that. And that's how you grow. You grow by recognizing, taking their experience and making something out of them.
Yes, that's true. And in another team, you talked about the victim card, and when talking about this team also about failure, it gave me that understanding that basically once I can see failure as a means of learning, of improving, then I will not be a victim of my story, but basically a victor. Like I won't be playing a victim card all the time. That it's because this failure happened or that failure happened. That's why I'm here or I'm stagnant or this
Mhm.
position for a while. But using that as a stepping stone basically to become better. So no more victim card for me in life basically, but just looking at everything as a card of victory basically for the next level.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because playing a victim card still just keeps us a victim, right? And the victim, what do victims get? Pity. Will pity translate into anything? No, it's hands out,
No.
and those are things that just put yourself in a position that people just get all the whole care, as if you were going, like the whole victim card doesn't help you to grow, right? Because
No.
you take away the most important thing, which I feel we all have in life as an adult: responsibility. Right? I always define responsibility as ability to respond, right? A measure of our ability to respond. Now,
Yeah.
if you are playing a victim card, you have no interest to respond. So your ability to respond is so low that there is no room for you to do anything else, because you have no ability to respond. So you are not taking responsibility. And when you don't take responsibility, you don't change anything. So if someone playing a victim, which is a very good translation into someone with a fixed mindset, feels that they cannot do anything else. They'll say, I have done my very best. Okay. But I did not get the job. Okay. But if this was my very best, I cannot do more. Then you are not seeing your chance of growing. You are now a victim to your ability, right? So you are not willing to take any response. You can't act, you can't respond to that. So it's important for us to come from a position of, I gave it my best, yes. I didn't get it, yes. So what else could I have done differently, right? And because
Yes.
the growth mindset recognizing, and which is true, our brain cells, they are muscles, they are flexible, they can be trained. They can really be trained, like you train anything. When you talk of machine learning, similar kind of technique. You train a machine, it sees things over and over and over and over. And next time, when it doesn't see that thing, it can predict, when you give it certain actions, that this is what you want. And that is what happens
Yes.
with our brain. And so, with the growth mindset, you see challenges as opportunities, not a roadblock. With a fixed mindset, challenges are roadblocks. If somebody gives you a feedback, you feel that the person hates you, right? And so you don't take it, you block it directly. So the biggest choice have been considered as one of the biggest gifts we have as humans: ability to choose. right? And but sometimes we, by choosing, we forget that every choice has an outcome. And so
Yeah.
when we make a choice and we deny the outcome, whether the outcome, I always tell my mentees, is not about what you expected as an outcome. Responsibility is taking responsibility on every outcome, both the ones you expected and the ones you did not expect, and then act on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to learn how to take responsibility. Yeah. Have the ability to
Absolutely.
respond and make those right choices. Yeah. I mean, I would love us to continue talking about other things, but I want everyone to just go and get the book. It's available on Amazon. Please, I'm going to place the link in the show notes of this episode. So I encourage everyone to get the book. As in, we've not even covered half of everything that's in the book, actually.
Yeah.
We've not covered anything at all. And there are a lot of other things that one could go deeper and deeper into, but it's going to be best when you just pick up the book yourself, read the book. But Casey, I would love us to talk about your mentorship program. That's the camp,
Mhm.
if I'm not pronouncing
Yes.
that
Yeah.
wrongly. Yeah, can you tell us about it, about the mentoring and the coaching services that you offer?
Yes, so the camp, it's a peer-to-peer mentorship platform that I founded around 3.5 years ago. And the goal of the camp is to, translate this whole talk we are talking about, or conversation around mindset, into actions, right? Create a community of a winning culture community, right? Where people
Mm,
recognize that their winning is as a result of somebody's winning. So you win as people win. You recognize that when people win, you are winning. And so you come in
mm,
with your own contribution on how you can enable that. And this group, now we are over 300. It's quite a close group. There is a criteria to come in. It's free mentorship. I always tell people free. Sometimes when we think free, people connect it with money, right? So once you say, okay, you don't pay for something they think is free, I think you don't pay money to be there, but it's so expensive to be there. Expensive because you pay with time. And for me, time is a more expensive currency, right, than money.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but it's a closed group. Always willing to have people that share this mindset, because for me it's about bringing people to grow with this kind of mindset, this selflessness, this ability to look beyond their own win and create an environment where other people can strive. So that's what DKM is in a nutshell. In the past 3 years now, we have achieved over 150 scholarship winners. We have achieved a lot of people getting into different jobs, internships, traveling for different kinds of events. And I think at the moment now we have achieved over $10 million in fundings, right, from
wow,
individuals that have traveled or have won different scholarships across the world. So, but for us, we are, like I always tell them, scholarship is an enabler of their vision. It's not the vision itself. So scholarship enables them to be more, to grow, to achieve
mm,
a potential. At the long run, what we are doing is drive this community into creating solutions, viable solutions to the challenges that we face as Nigeria, as Africa, right? So I'm looking
mm,
into my mentees as we develop, go into PhD, aeronautics, robotics, whatever we are doing, we create a knowledge pool that can help to drive solutions into existing problems and challenges in Nigeria. So DKEM is not just looking at it from a scholarship, it's not a scholarship platform, it's a peer-to-peer mentorship where we come together to create viable solutions while growing as a community.
mm. Yeah, thanks so much for that. Just as a teaser, there's a team in your book that is titled "The Scholarship,"
Yes.
and you talk about the process and what you have to do and choosing the scholarship. I just want everyone that is looking for scholarship to get the book, read it, and maybe you learn from that process. Maybe. So, what's the best way to connect with you? What's the best way to work with you, get across to you, or maybe ask you more questions if there are any
LinkedIn is always
people want to
best.
ask?
I think I would also drop, you have my LinkedIn handle. I can drop that again with you separately.
Mm,
So LinkedIn is
mm,
always the best way to reach out. I will also drop the DKEM website so people could go there and see what we do, the different activities, different areas that we are interested in. We recently
mm,
launched the DKEM at secondary school. So we have a secondary school club where our mentees, Kempites as we call ourselves, are going into different secondary schools across Nigeria, because I believe that this mindset needs to start early, right? And through my network, we are also distributing the Till We All Win books across schools in Nigeria that were donated as part of my last year birthday. So we want to do more of this. We want to be able to distribute these books, especially across secondary schools in Africa, while driving that conversation, or rather initiating this conversation early enough, right? I think when we grow up with the mindset that till we all win, we are all a work in progress, that fear of what your neighbor will do if they know the thing that you know would disappear. And once you open up, right, they say collaboration is 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. Because when you come together, you create something that would not exist if it's just you looking at it from your own point of view. So I believe that collaboration and really, but not just telling someone you need to collaborate. People need to see the reason. They need to have this mindset reset, right? To come into that understanding and comfort that really, yeah, this is the way to go through life.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Wow. I'm going to place all of this information in the show notes of this episode, so the websites, the link to the website of the camp and also your LinkedIn profile. So, I mean, everyone that's listened thus far will know that there are a lot of information, a lot of things that one could get from the book and also get from you as a person, as a coach, and as a mentor himself. So, please just copy the link, click on the link and get across, get the book and become better basically and help everyone around you so that we can all win at the end of the day. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Casey.
It's always nice
I
to be
appreciate
here.
this. Thank you so much. Wow, you made it to the very end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful for your time, your love, and your contributions. Subscribe, like, review, and share this podcast. God bless you. Bye. Bye.